In this video, we're going to learn the terminology for using bits and bytes. Digital information is really just a long sequence of zeros and ones. It is helpful to think about them as tiny switches that are either off or on. Each tiny switch is a bit of information, where bit stands for binary digit. Early in computing, they realized that it was a little tedious to deal with individual bits, and so for convenience, they decided to group 8 bits together and call them a byte. The name byte was actually a pun on the phrase bits and bytes. To distinguish byte from bite, as in taking a bite of an apple, they spelled it with a Y. There's also a nibble, which is a grouping of 4 bits, but that terminology is rarely used today. I swear I'm not making this up. The reason we use bytes is for convenience. It's a lot like a carton of eggs. It can be quite a hassle to carry around a single egg. It is much more convenient to carry around a carton. Even if you only need to carry around a single egg or have one egg left in the fridge, you still keep it in a carton. Bytes are pretty much just cartons of bits. One important distinction between cartons and bytes is that bytes are always exactly 8 bits. If you only need 5 bits and you want to store them in a byte, you can just ignore the other 3 bits, but they will always be there. If you recall, with 1 bit, you can represent 2 different values. With 2 bits, you can represent 4 possible values, 00, 01, 10, and 11. With 3 bits, you can represent 8 values, and so on. With k bits, you can represent 2 to the k possible values. A byte has 8 bits, so it can represent 2 to the 8 or 256 different possible values. For a quick perspective on how large digital information gets, an essay will probably be a few kilobytes or thousands of bytes. A song will likely be a few megabytes or millions of bytes. A high-quality video could easily be a gigabyte or a billion bytes. In the early days of computing, it was generally understood that a kilobyte was actually 1024 bytes because it was an even power of 2, 2 to the 10. And a megabyte would be 2 to the 20, or 1,048,576 bytes. In today's world, it's really hard to say for sure, but kilobyte now usually means 1,000 bytes and megabyte means 1 million bytes. It all got ruined because of business and marketing practices to make products appear more impressive. Sometimes businesses will use bits instead of bytes. For example, your internet provider may advertise a download speed of 1 gigabit per second, but that is really 125 megabytes per second. It doesn't sound nearly as impressive. They are supposed to use a capital B when referring to bytes and a lowercase b when referring to bits. So beware of misleading marketing. We know that digital information is really just a long sequence of zeros and ones, usually grouped together in bytes. We still don't have a good idea of how those bits can represent numbers, words, pictures, or anything else on a computer, but we'll get there soon.